Hello my dear friends and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. So yesterday we covered some new details provided by SFX magazine where they interviewed Ming-Na and Temuera Morrison for the Book of Boba Fett, but today we have even more details. Ming-Na, who plays Fennec Shand, also spoke with Disney's D23 magazine about her role as Fennec in the Book of Boba. During the interview, she also gave fans some words of reassurance by stating that both she and Boba Fett are still anti-heroes. The big worry for many of us was that Boba Fett was going to be depicted as a good guy, which would not be true to the origin of the character. Boba Fett, and to a great extent Fennec Shand, occupy a space between the binary of typical good guy and bad guy. They are the anti-heroes who, as Ming-Na says, are difficult to pin down ethically. Part of the reason Boba Fett has always been so beloved in this fandom, according to George Lucas in the Under the Helmet special, is that he's a bad guy that you root for. But not a bad guy in the sense of evil, but rather Boba Fett is willing to do what it takes to get the job done as a bounty hunter. There's always a way. So let's dive into this article and see what they had to say and discuss the key parts. We have less than a month to go before the highly anticipated debut of the Book of Boba Fett on December the 29th. While plot details are largely being kept under wraps, we do know the broad strokes of what we'll be seeing over the course of the 7-episode series. And one person in particular who's not been shy about their excitement is Fennec Shand actress Ming-Na. Speaking in the winter 2021 edition of Disney 23 magazine, she said the following: "There is a partnership between the two of them, Fennec and Boba Fett. They are bonded by their near-death experiences, and there is a sense of code that they abide by." And as you guys can see, this is very reminiscent of her words in SFX magazine, where she stated that because Fennec and Boba Fett are now getting into their older age, it makes more sense to work together and no longer be solo. So they're basically partners in crime, but then Ming-Na says, but that doesn't mean that they're good. In her own words, she says, "So it's going to be really interesting to see how their dynamic grows in the Book of Boba. I think that's all I can say. The rest is, you have to just watch. I'm not saying they're bad guys, but they're not good either." She finishes with a strong statement about the two characters. "We are the anti-hero. I like playing an anti-hero. You get away with more." And we have to remember, guys, that in spite of the fact that they're teaming up and they're two characters who were heroic in The Mandalorian Season 2, they are both deadly bounty hunters at heart. Fennec Shand, dating all the way back to the Clone Wars, has been a reputable mercenary, one of the best in the galaxy. And evidently when it comes to Boba Fett, his credentials speak for themselves. They're not the good guys, but neither are they bad. And I think the Book of Boba Fett is going to do a lot to try and advance that theme and show us what they're going to be like as the rulers of the underworld. Speaking about Temuera Morrison in particular, she said, "Tem is spectacular. In some ways he's the opposite of me, which is good, because he is less of a nerd than I am. He appreciates the work that goes into everything, and I geek out at everything." So that is basically the article, and the themes that come across from both interviews are collaboration, teamwork, and survival. Each of these is going to be essential in the series, especially when it comes to who Boba Fett is going to come across. There are certainly a lot of crime lords out there, and Boba is going to rely on Fennec and vice versa. And as a team, they work fantastically. Until The Mandalorian Season 2, I don't think too many people cared about Fennec Shand that much. Her appearance in Season 1, and subsequently the rescue by Boba Fett, was nothing compared to the screen time she had in Season 2. And now, she is a fan favourite. Now, as I've reiterated in the past, we can't see the Book of Boba Fett as being too separate to The Mandalorian. It is a spin-off, but we're probably still going to see some very familiar faces from the main show. And one person in particular who's got a lot of people talking is Pedro Pascal. It seems like we hear his voice in the trailer, but we can't be certain that it's Djarin. He might be voicing the Ithorian crime lord, or as the captions state, Alien One. But even if Pedro Pascal is playing other characters apart from Djarin, I think we can definitely expect the Mandalorian to make a cameo. It was one of the earliest reports from LRM Online that Pedro Pascal as Djarin, as well as Migs Mayfeld, Greef Karga and Cobb Vanth would all make an appearance in this series. Now, I believe there's a misdirect in the trailer because while it is Pedro Pascal speaking, I don't think it's the Ithorian crime lord. It sounds to me as if he's helmeted, so it probably is Din Djarin. But if he is in the show and not playing Din, Pedro Pascal will not be the first Star Wars actor to appear elsewhere in a double role. Mark Hamill, who reprised his role on screen in the sequel trilogy, and of course in the Season 2 finale of The Mandalorian, also made secret voice cameos as alien Bulio in episode 9, as well as a droid bartender EV-99 in The Mandalorian. So it could be a misdirect and Pedro Pascal is voicing a different character, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. This is something that a few of you have asked me to speak about explicitly, and so here we are. So my answer would be Pedro Pascal is probably voicing other characters, but I think he's definitely going to appear as the Mandalorian. We knew pretty much from the get-go that the Book of Boba Fett was going to be the bridging point between The Mandalorian Season 2 and Season 3, which is also something Giancarlo Esposito spoke about. And here's a crazy theory, they might even try to connect Grogu to the show so that by Season 3, he's back with Mando. I could be wrong, but I can't see Disney not inserting Grogu in pretty much everything, let alone having the next season of Mando without him. So 26 days until the Book of Boba Fett, I'm sure the series is going to have a lot of surprises. It may not be what we expect, it could be something completely different because we know the way these trailers can be deceiving. But in either case, we can expect lots of flashbacks, a lot of fan service to do with the original trilogy, and I think it's going to be spectacular. And as we spoke about in yesterday's video, the show is going to fill in lots of Star Wars gaps, especially to do with how Boba survived the Sarlacc pit, and making his way to where we see him in Chapter 9 of The Mandalorian. There's also been a bit of speculation about how the Book of Boba Fett could also show us some iconic scenes from Return of the Jedi, notably the sail barge, but remade. They might go all out in really doing justice to show us where Boba has been. While Boba Fett's history was fleshed out a lot in the expanded universe, most of those events were removed from canon when Disney bought Lucasfilm, so that rendered his escape from the Sarlacc in Legends completely void. So in canon, after the fall into the Sarlacc pit, the next time we see him is The Mandalorian. Everything in between, apart from the Aftermath trilogy, where we get a brief allusion to his escape from the Sarlacc, no longer counted, so the Book of Boba Fett does have to answer a few of those questions. And I'm still convinced that Dengar and Bossk have a lot to do with Boba's future and recent past. So I turn it over to you guys. With a matter of weeks until the Book of Boba Fett, how are you feeling about the series? Are you worried? Are you excited? What are you most excited about? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But as always, my dear friends, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit the notification bell, share this video out there, and why not consider becoming a patron? The link is down there in the description, but otherwise, may the force be with you all. I'm Star Wars Neg, and I'll see you tomorrow.